Have you ever really wanted a sweet treat, but you just could not figure out what you wanted? I have the perfect solution for you. First, we're going to gather all of our ingredients. You'll need eggs, vanilla extract, vegetable oil, heavy whipping cream, sweet condensed milk, evaporated milk, 2 things of Cool Whip, a stick of butter, and French vanilla cake mix. Now that you got all your ingredients, you're going to grease your pan. This is my greased pan. Now that you have the pan greased and ready, you're going to get cake mix and dump it into the thing and mix it all of the other ingredients that it says to. Now that you've got all of your cake mix made, basically, you're going to take a mixer and you're going to beat it until it's ready on medium speed. Now that you've officially mixed your cake batter, you're going to pour it into the pan that you greased. Now that you've poured your cake batter into the pan, you're going to put it in the oven for 24 to 29 minutes, so I'll be doing 26. For our measurements, you'll need 14 ounces of sweet condensed milk. You'll need 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. You'll need the whole can of evaporated milk, which is 12 ounces. You'll need the whole thing of Cool Whip and 3 eggs and around about 1/4 cup of vegetable oil for the cake. It's also important to remember that you will need about 3 bowls for this and your pan and the cooking spray, so that way the cake does not get stuck to the bottom of the pan. Now that you've let your cake bake, you're going to let it cool for about 10 minutes. That way you can poke the holes in. Now that your cake's cool, you're going to go ahead and get a fork and you're just going to go poke holes on the top layer of the cake. Now that you've poked holes, we're going to get to the actual milk part. We're going to take our condensed milk, our evaporated milk, and our heavy whipping cream, and we're going to put them all in a bowl and then mix it together. Now that you've dumped all of the 3 milks into this, you are going to go beat it on medium again. Now that you've either whisked or beat your mixture of milk, you're going to slowly pour it over the cake evenly. After you finish pouring out your milk onto the cake, you are going to let it sit for a few minutes to really sink into the mixture, and then you get your Cool Whip and you use that as the frosting. You'll just take it and you will spoon it on there and spread it out, and then if you really want to be in a celebratory mood, you can add some fruits or cinnamon or really anything you want to, just to make it more tasty to your desire. Also, there are many different cakes that use like rum or whiskey in their cakes, or they will use fruit or cinnamon, and there's just a bunch of varieties that you can use to make this cake, but the easiest one and most commonly known is the method of just straight Tres Leches. There are a bunch of different methods to make this type of cake. For example, some people will buy the box cake like I did and then just make that and go on, or some people will take the time to make the actual cake from scratch and everything else from scratch. But because of time constraints, I just chose to do this easier method, which was buying the cake from Walmart and going from there, which is a lot easier in my opinion. I really enjoy making this cake because we've made it in like Spanish as a cultural thing, and I've made it for birthday parties and just at like celebrations for health class and things like that, and it's been a big hit. Everyone loved it because it's just so different from what us Americans make, and it just really gives insight onto what other cultures make and what they bring, and just the tradition of what each person has really is displayed through this cake. This recipe holds a very special impact in my heart because when I was younger, I would make this with my grandma and my great-grandma, and even now it's just with my friends. We will make this a lot just because it just holds such high value to my family, and it just gives such cultural insight and really brings in so much flavor for us, and that is why we like it. Something that I personally recommend for your cake is refrigerating it also after you put the whipped cream on, because it will just make it even more savory. Something that I personally recommend for your cake is refrigerating it also after you put the whipped cream on, because it will just make it even more savory. Now that mine has officially marinated, we can go ahead and start putting some Cool Whip on. So I'm just gonna slap some on and really just make sure that it gets on there because you want it to be frosted. This is a very traditional Mexican dessert that a lot of people make in Mexico and Spain, so it's very popular. And Tres Leches does mean 3 milk, so expect for it to be very dairy filled. Overall, this is how you make a Tres Leches cake.